Dollar bets, dollar bets. What up, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome to our next episode. I'm O. We got Z in the house.
Hey. Make bets every day.
Yeah.
We should
No,
get in our
we do.
housekeeping because it's like ass late, isn't it?
Yeah, it's way past O's bedtime.
It's objectionably late.
Yo.
I'm in my PJs, got my Slayer shirt on.
Ooh.
Slayer's good live, man. They fucked, man.
You saw Slayer live?
Yeah. With Lamb of God, some other band. This band that's they're like Norwegian or Swedish or one of the Scandinavian metals. They came out on a full pirate ship set. They were awesome, and I can't remember their name. And then also Cannibal Corpse, which was basically this is Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. That at least I know that name. But
Yeah,
I
they
couldn't tell
suck.
you about anything else you
Their
said.
lyrics suck, but like their music was legitimately
I
like
will
pretty
bet
good.
you $1 I'll never listen to any of that stuff.
Well, yeah, no, you're between jam bands and Slayer. If you cover the full gamut, man, it's like, oh, props to you, the ears
Yeah.
of a god. So who owes who what?
Well, yes. So first of all, let's talk about a little horse racing real quick. The most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Kentucky Derby this past weekend had
Oh
a
yeah,
photo finish,
yo yeah.
and by the length of a horse's nostril hole,
Mm-hmm.
I did not win that bet.
No, you can snort a lot of oats through a nostril hole.
I had Sierra Leone, right? It was one of my two horses.
Yeah, that
Sierra
was
Leone missed it by a hair, huh?
missed it by a nose hair, a nostril
My
hair.
nose hair.
Missed
Yeah.
by Mr. Ed's taint hair.
Who did win? Do you remember the horse that won?
Yeah, it was Mystic Dan. And
Mystic Dan.
my cousin's name is Dan, so he told me, and he's a degenerate gambler, so he was like, "I'll bet on that." So he won like $200 just because the horse had his name on a
Alright.
photo finish. He probably blew it
Alright,
since
so
then.
nobody owes anybody any money on that. The only
Nope.
other bet that we had was game one of the Oklahoma City Dallas series with the picking OKC, O picking Dallas.
Yep.
And I've got myself a little bit of a losing streak going on right now.
A losing streak? Yeah.
Yeah,
Little bit.
I've won, I think, like 3 or 4 consecutive dollar bets.
Yeah, I think I've won 5 out of 7 or something like that, or 4 out
Yeah.
of 5, or
So,
I don't know. Not enough.
I'm paying you $1
Woohoo.
for, yeah.
And the best way to break out of the streak was if you had seen your message before the Thunder game was really getting going, because as we speak, they're definitely. I'm assuming they're still losing because it was 15 points, like 5 minutes
Now,
ago.
Dallas is up by 8 with 3.5 to go in the half.
Oh, okay, it's still close.
Oh, make that 6.
Oh, Thunder are charging.
Thunder.
Thunder.
All right, so, big storyline, right? What
Yeah.
happened last night in the NBA, Z? Tell us all about it.
Oh my
Because
God.
I passed
So,
out on my couch
You
trying to
passed
watch it.
out. Well, you don't have hundreds of dollars on the Knicks for the series, so that makes sense that you would pass out. And we're old, old AF. So Jalen Brunson gets hurt in the late in the first quarter, like a foot injury. Doesn't play at all the second quarter. They get down by 10 at half. Reggie Miller's in the building, and you're like, is there legitimately a curse of Reggie Miller? You know, it's like that motherfucker. They end up cursing. They were like saying "fuck you, Reggie" like for like 2 minutes straight at the end of the game, and then Josh Hart comes over once they salted it away, he comes over to like the play-by-play booth section there, and he was like, "Oh, just so you know, they're saying fuck you, Reggie." It's great, but I mean, this game was a lot of back and forth. The first quarter up until the point where Brunson got hurt, the Knicks had like a 7-point lead, and then they extended it. I think. At one point, they got up by 11 in the first. I'm like, woohoo, this is going great. Probably sent out that message or something close to it to a couple other people that were invested in the series from different perspectives. And sure enough, they just squandered the lead with Brunson out. And I think there was a sense of what are we going to do? And I sent a message to my buddy, my writing partner, that's a Knicks fan, and I was like, unless there's like he's got to turn into Willis Reed meets Mateen Cleaves like immediately because this would be a shitty late way to lose a series where you were the clear favorite. And sure enough, he comes out at the half, first person on the floor, getting some warm up shots in. He gutted it out. He missed an entire quarter and he scored 29 points. Like, I mean, he was just amazing. Like, I mean, there were clutch basket after clutch basket. I don't honestly know what Indiana was doing defensively. They started like trapping him at half court, and then it became like a 4-on-3 type scenario. And the Knicks are pretty cohesive and they're energetic, and so if they're hitting corner threes that you're just willfully giving them, that you're done, because they don't the Pacers don't have a single, well, certainly not a perimeter oriented defender that can contain Brunson and company, and like they just play well together. It's fun basketball to watch. It's a good product, especially when they're at Madison Square Garden, because you just feel like the history and energy and like wrath and rage and joy from that place. It's just beautiful. I highly recommend. I forget, have you been in that arena for like a concert or anything?
I have not.
Oh man, that's got to be on the list. At least like as far as like sports tourism, I'm the biggest fan of basketball tourism, but I like other sports tourism as well. It's a landmark for sure. Like, it's great. Like if the apes ever like blew it up, I would be like, or like humans blew it up and we thought it was apes, I would be like, no, you blew it up, you bastards. Or like, that's the one monument in the world. I think I'd be like, one of the monuments anyways, I'd be like, no, you blew it up.
For a future episode when I don't have to get to bed, we definitely got to talk about our sports bucket list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So the Knicks pulled it off.
They pulled it off. A lot of clutch baskets. A lot of clutch baskets. Energy rebounds. Everything the announcers were saying was that the announcers had a great game. I thought. Stan Van Gundy and Reggie Miller in particular. Because
we're giving props to the announcer.
Yeah. Well, Stan Van Gundy was like calling out Carlisle, Indiana coach, for not putting in McConnell and trying something else on Brunson, because like Halliburton was getting just shredded. Everyone was getting shredded by Brunson, and it's like he wasn't even full strength, but he knew he wasn't full strength, so he's involving teammates, and he's just every move just seemed calculated, and it was just like mentally he found a way to lock in when he physically didn't have that extra gear, and honestly, it was one of the greater performances I can recall in any sport from an injured guy. I remember there was this college football game where Byron Leftwich gets like carried down the field by his offensive lineman.
Right.
But I mean, as great as that was, that's some shithole bowl game from like 2006 or something, 2005, whatever it was. And so like, it's like, NBA playoffs in the House of the Holy versus like shithole bowl game. I'm taking House of the Holy. Well, Willis Reed once limped out of the locker room, and it just reminded me of our boy Cleaves just coming out and setting the tone of like, yeah, I'm not the same player right now, but fuck you, we're winning this tournament.
I was there.
That's awesome. What was it? Okay, so
I was there. Not only was I there, I was sitting ninth row behind the basket, and I had a perfect shot from my seat to that tunnel where he came back out late in the game, and I was the person in the crowd who was just keeping a corner of my eye over there, and I was just like, here comes Cleaves, and everyone just fucking turns their head, and like the student section of us all just sitting there and just goes nuts.
You rallied everyone to like acknowledge that he was the man was coming. The man in black was coming out the tunnel.
Task.
That was your task. That was like, what if that was you were like sent here for that specific thing, and now if there's ever any melees, like it's like because your destiny was fulfilled, and now you're like searching for a new destiny.
All right, let's get back to these Knicks real quick.
Okay.
All right, so I know that our little dollar bets aside, you've put some money on the Knicks to go the distance.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And here's what I'll say: if they still had Julius Randle, if they still had Bojan Bogdanovic, if Mitchell Robinson, and I don't know what the prognosis is on his injury, but I know those first two, they're done for the season. And we still got to wait to see about Anunoby, but we know he's out for game 3 at least.
Yeah.
I think if the Knicks were injury-free, I would probably agree with that bet. So let me ask you this: without Julius Randle, without Bogdanovich, with Mitchell Randle on the shelf,
Mitchell Robinson,
Mitchell Robinson
yeah.
on the shelf, with Anunoby a question mark right now. How confident are you on a 1 to 10 in that pick?
7, because I think if OG comes back, it's more of a 9. But if it's if he doesn't come back, it's a 3. I mean, flat out they need his versatility defensively, and he was having a career heater game offensively right when they needed it because the aforementioned Brunson injury that stifled their offense for a while.
Yeah.
I think they rest him in Indiana and he comes back in New York. It's a hamstring injury, so I think Precious Achua will get some more experience and might take some lumps.
Yeah, he has hardly played until last night.
Yeah, he played in the first series, but selectively, right? Like he played. I'm thinking it was game. I want to say it was game 5. He played for Hartenstein when Hartenstein wasn't, or games 4 or 5. He was playing for Hartenstein when Hartenstein didn't do a good job in Embiid for a while, and it was just like coaching decision type of move. And they have this cohesion that you really don't see from a lot of pro teams.
The Knicks do.
Yeah, they really do. They honestly remind me of like a college team, specifically like this weird mashup of like vintage Michigan State and like every time UConn went on a heater before this year.
I mean, they've got, 3 Villanova players from that championship run.
Yeah, so they feel like a gritty Big East team, or like a team like that's just really well coached, like with guard play and offensive rebounding. That's like an MSU UConn hybrid, which is like a sex zone for me, man. It's great.
For me, looking at this roster, I've got no desire to rely on Precious Achua.
No.
So basically, this Knicks roster is a 6 deep with McBride as the 6th man.
I mean, it's kind of like 5.5 deep.
I think that's going to catch up with them. I think in the physicality of a best of 7 series, I just think they're going to run out of horses.
Well, what physicality though? I mean, they already got past the physicality. Was the Sixers. Like Indiana's not physical, and the Boston's definitely not physical except for Holiday. So, I mean, I'm Tillman off the bench, but he doesn't really play much for some reason because the Boston coach, like you were saying correctly, probably that Boston's just is good for like a dive like every series, but like if you're playing the Knicks or the Timberwolves the way they've been doing, the Wolves or the Thunder, or even if the Nuggets were to, they're not. I don't think they're going to, but if they were to reverse this current trend and pull that series out in 7, like I just don't like Boston against any of those teams. The only team I would take Boston over, besides I guess at this point Cleveland and Indiana, obviously, is the Mavericks. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and it's because of the coaching. It's because of the coaching. I mean, you shoot. They shot under 33%. I think like 28, 27% from 3.
Yeah.
And at home, you're playing at home. What are you doing? How are you going 7 for 30 at home? And at one point they had Hauser guarding. They had a Hauser guarding. Doesn't matter which one it is.
Thank God it's not Joey.
No, but it might as well have been Joey because they had him on Donovan Mitchell, and I was like, "This game's over." Like, they weren't down by much at the time, but I was like, "No, game's over." I knew it was over because at no point in any fashion, I don't care if it's a pick and roll or like a double pick and roll, you are not like a fucking the picket fence from Hoosiers. I don't care what exotic look you're giving them. Hauser should not be guarding Donovan Mitchell in a playoff game. It just shouldn't happen.
I concur. Oh, shit. That was a poster right there.
Who got posterized?
Who's number 8 for OKC? Who is that?
One of the Williamses, the Jalen Williamses. There's two of them.
Yeah, he just took it right down the lane and dunked all over Dallas. All right,
Mm,
it's a 3-point game, 20 seconds to the half. The
nice.
other big news out of the NBA, we just got the MVP, right?
Ugh.
So in third place was Luka Doncic.
Yeah, that's fine.
And second was SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yep.
And we have a 3-time winner in Nikola Jokic. What do you think of that podium?
I mean, it's like it's obviously a good group of players. Like those three are all three of them were in our top 9, our aforementioned top 9. I got no problem with the podium. I mean, I know Luka had a career high in points, right? It was like 33 or 34, 32, something like that. Somewhere in the low 30s, the early 30s.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in the bouncy and fun and wild early 30s. I don't think that team could have gone on that late season heater without him, and obviously, and he's great. Jokic, it's weird to say this because he's been struggling a little bit in the playoffs, more so in these first 2 games of the series with the dominant Wolves, but without him or with a reduced version of him, the Nuggets are barely a playoff team. So so let me ask you this. What are your go-tos, your primary definitions of what an MVP entails?
I don't want to give the MVP a strict definition because I think in different years, different things deserve it.
Yeah.
Case in point, I think, and I can't remember what year it was, but that first year that Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double,
Yeah.
I think that was MVP worthy. It was the second time it had ever happened in NBA history. I thought that was MVP worthy. And then he went down to do it again, I think the very next year. Okay, been there, done that. We don't need to give him the MVP again. He's clearly not the MVP, but, so...
Wait,
in some years, it's going to be the best player on the best team.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan won how many MVPs for just that?
A few. I think it was 4.
A few. Sometimes it's, as I said, we can't just have one strict definition for the MVP. It can't live in a vacuum. Like, different years is going to call for different things. Okay,
is it like
I
being
think a big part of it needs to be the eye test? Like,
yeah,
you got to be watching the games and who's really. You can't not be one of the top 3 or 4 players and win the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, it's like value above replacement is key. Like, if you put an average player or even a good player in place of them, is that team even a contender or not? And with Luka, without Luka, no, they're not. SGA, definitely not. And Joker, like, hell no. So, I think, I have no problem with the order based on the hell no factor with, like, Jokic. If you remove Jokic from the equation and downgrade him to, like, like in Mario where you get hit and then you go to Little Mario?
Right.
If he came Little Joker and just wasn't this, or Little Joker maybe like how he's played these last 2 games. If it's that version or just some lesser creation of the man upstairs, like, than he is, I'm saying no, definitely he's not. This team doesn't go higher than a play-in team, right? I mean, based on how they're playing, like, pretty accurate, I think. And for that reason, and for the fact that I didn't get all the Thunder games, I wasn't like a Thunder subscriber. So it's like hard for me as a guy that's just kind of waking up to SGA between the playoffs and like his dominance in 2K. Like, he's fun to play with. You should go do it. I'm gonna say, like, I think they got it right, but like not by much this time, right? And do you think that they should wait a few playoff rounds to give these
No,
awards out?
no,
No.
no, no. Not at all. It's a regular season award. The playoffs have their own awards.
Yeah.
So between those three that ended up on the podium, I fully agree that Doncic would be the MVP amongst those. I do not think that they got the podium right. I would take Doncic. I would take Shea off of it. I would have put Brunson and Tatum on.
What are Tatum's numbers this year?
Points per game were 26.9. Let's see, where's this line? 37.6 from deep. 47 overall on field goals, and 83 on the stripe. 8 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game. So I mean, definitely Luka had better numbers.
Luka also had less to work with than how many former first rounders are just studs that does Boston have on that team?
Oh yeah, no.
Plus Derek White. I don't think it's automatically stacked because it has him, and so I think that's the numbers are really good, but how many other players that are also really really good would have those kind of juiced numbers for if they had 4 guys that can shoot threes at any moment or 5 guys out on the perimeter playing 5-out basketball, including a 7'3" guy. It's like it's weird, you know. It's hard to really say who the best player even is on that Boston team at any moment.
Yeah, I don't know. Boston, I mean, what did they win their conference by? Like 14 games or something?
That's just a product of health, though.
Product of health. It's a product of having a great team, but this is just a case where I think best player on the best team needs to get some sort of recognition because they were so ridiculously better than every other team in the regular season.
In the East.
Hold on. Let's see. 64 and 18. They would have been 7 games ahead of Oklahoma City in the West.
They would have lost more games if they played in the West. 100%. Better shooting teams in the West. Different looks like from teams like Minnesota's defense caused problems for Boston. No. Yeah. They might have still hypothetically they could have won the West from a record perspective, but like I said, I would take those other 3 teams or at least half of Denver and 2 of the other teams over Boston right now, and I would take the Knicks over them right now. Assuming that OG comes back. If he doesn't come back, I think you're right. I think that might be a problem. And not because they'd run out of gas, but just because they don't have the extra pull of having OG's defensive versatility and his rebounding. I mean, you need to be versatile against a team like Boston in case they're shooting well. I think they steal 2 games easily in that series because Boston won't shoot well one game, and another one they'll make them not shoot well.
Right.
So I want that series so bad. I also want to see the Rangers end up playing the Bruins while the 2 New York Boston series at the same time. The East Coast is going to erupt like Vesuvius with nut. just backed up male sports fan nut just everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the Rangers went up 3-0 in their series today.
Yeah, they haven't lost a game yet. I told you, I think earlier, right, that I would have picked the Rangers over the Oilers.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't. The problem is I don't see enough hockey.
Lost their game 1 to Vancouver.
5-4, I think, right?
Yep. Also an overtimer.
Yeah. Nice.
A lot of overtimes in these playoffs.
Oh man, I used to hate Vancouver for no reason. They just bothered me.
No, I don't know. For me, I just really want to see a Canadian team take it. So basically, I'm down to whoever wins the Vancouver-Edmonton series.
Well, you know, it's been since 92, right? 91? 92?
What, the last time a Canadian team won?
Yeah.
That was Montreal in
Yeah.
93.
93, okay. Because the Rangers were 94, 92 was the Penguins, 91 was the Penguins, 90 was Oilers still. 87 through 90 was the Oilers, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. I loved, okay, what do you, we should end with this besides the dollar bets for going forward. Do you, and we could talk about this more later, but dynasties, are you for them or against them?
Depends.
No, I'm just saying from not your team and not a team you hate, but if it's a neutrality situation, are you Switzerland going in? Are you saying I like dynasties? They make the game more intense and exciting, or like let's all have a share?
No, I think let's see some historic runs for sure. I mean, I remember growing up, like from the mid '80s up until San Antonio Spurs were unable to ever win 2 in a row. Like,
Yeah.
It was always a team winning it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Lakers and the Pistons and the Bulls.
It went from after
again.
the Sixers won
The
in.
Lakers picked it back up.
Sixers were 83, right?
Yeah, I think it's more interesting when there's a team who's consistently good over a few years, and it's up to the rest of the league to dethrone them.
It works best
Kind
in
of like
basketball.
That team versus the field.
Yeah, basketball I think is where it works the best because you're getting to know a lesser amount of players, and you kind of can get their tendencies, their personalities, where their strengths are, and you're following that, or you're loving it, or you're hating it, or you're loving it, and then you're hating it, or you're hating it, and then you're like, oh, you know what, I kind of like them now, Like, it works in football too, obviously, because we've seen the Chiefs and the Patriots, especially, and back to when we were younger to the Cowboys, but, boo, but it was crazy to just, to see the Chiefs kind of just slot right in where the Patriots left off, and it's like, it's great, but also I think it's more fun in basketball for some reason. It's just like the well-oiled machine huffing and puffing for 82 games, surviving injuries, and then turning it on for the playoffs. And the inevitability of it, it's great. It's great.
Right.
And this year, there's no inevitability at all because it's like the Russian is cut. The Denver defending champs are down 2-0, been a deep, deep hole going against the future greatest player.
Down 2-0 after losing 2 homers.
Yeah, I mean, badly, too. Like, the first one was, like, closer, but they never really felt in control. And the second one, they just got spanked.
Yo.
They got a Minnesota spanking, man, a northern exposure.
All right, and I think that's how we segue into
the bets?
Some predictions.
Okay.
So, we got Friday, Game 3, Knicks at Indiana. Knicks up 2-0.
Ooh.
Do you like Indiana getting into this series?
I think they get into the series by default with OG out, or they're bound to take one of these close games just because the Knicks aren't really going to destroy you. They'll break your spirit, but you just think going in the next game every time, and this has happened so far, the other team's like, what? We're better than them. We have more talent. We're deeper. We have this. We have that. We have this player. We have that player. But, they have Brunson and some boards. They got some Villanova dogs, man. Some Wildcats, though. My head's saying, yeah, Indiana guts one out. But then in Game 3, and then if OG's back, I think the Knicks definitely take Game 4. But I think I could see him.
Let's just stick to Game 3 right
I
now.
know. I'm not betting on Indiana. I'm not going $1 against my.
Betting on Indiana for Game 3.
I'm not going $1 against my many hundreds.
All right. Well, I was going to take New York, so I guess we don't have a bet there.
No,
The other
no.
game tomorrow night, we got Denver down 2-0, as we just said, going to Minnesota. Is Minnesota sweeping? Are the brooms coming out?
I don't. It's hard to see them it's hard to see them sweeping because we're just not talking about Denver right now, and because of this weird 3-day off period, we're not even talking about Minnesota as much. So it's like, what have you done for me lately? You know, I think that pause is like, this is like Jokic's last stand as a guy who's like in charge of a favorite, because I think they go down the line next year, unless they reload a lot, because Gordon's getting older. You know, you got Murray's. If Murray's not healthy, they don't have a backup. Reggie Jackson is not a playoff, contender guy that can play 15, 20 minutes or play for a guy that is out of that caliber of Murray. Murray's a closer, and Jokic and Murray together in a close game, they're just fucking closers, and because then you almost forget about Porter, and he'll catch and shoot when there's like the guy's like right up in your grill, and it doesn't matter because he's so damn tall. He's so tall, and like they have the pieces. I think they steal one of the games. I'm leaning that it's game 3, but I do feel like they're probably done in 5, unfortunately, because I did have Denver for the series initially with monies. Yeah. So, how you leaning on that one, O?
I just want to bet you $1 something here. I thought you were going to take Minnesota. I was hoping to go with Denver. I do think Denver's going to get back into it, at least temporarily.
Ooh.
I just think that Denver's been pushed up against the wall, and they're really going to just come out with an A game. I think the defending champs are not going to go down that easy.
Yeah, I think they come out with a B game, but I think Minnesota, weirdly, I think they come out with a C- game.
So it sounds like we are both picking Denver in game 3.
Yeah, I think we are. So do you said you like Boston winning both those games in Cleveland?
I think just like we saw in the first series where Miami came in to game 2, won by just shooting lights out, and then Boston came out and absolutely punched Miami so hard right back. I think we're about to see that counter punch from Boston again. I'm going to take Boston with 2 road games, 2 road wins.
Nice.
In Cleveland.
What do you got the stats for what Cleveland did shooting wise today?
In game 2?
Yeah. Because there were chunks of it because I was working at the desk. Like I was in and out of seeing the game, and I was like, why are they winning by this much? Like, I don't think it was just because they were shooting so well. I mean, Boston looked like shit. And I gotta say, I gotta credit it to the coaching.
So here we go. Cleveland shot 54.7 on field goals. They shot 46 from deep. A pedestrian 69% on free throws.
Yeah, that's not enough to win by 20.
Almost 50% from deep, 13 of 28.
I still don't think that's enough to win by 20. But I mean, just you take that as like a little bit better than good, right? That's pretty good, but like it's good is like 38 to 42%, right?
Something like maybe the big thing is they won rebounds 44 to 31.
That's sustainable. Boston is weak on the boards. I mean, in a playoff setting, if
you're gonna have a bad night on the boards, you got to make it up in field goal percentage.
I'm gonna say Cleveland steals a game. Cleveland wins one, and they lose in 6.
All right, so I think that's $1 bet.
$1 bet that Cleveland gets a game. Betting against my own bet, so I don't care.
So we got game 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I'm saying that Boston wins both, and you're saying that they don't.
Yeah.
Cleveland takes 1.
Yeah, 1 or 2, but probably 1.
Doesn't matter which one.
Exactly.
I'm predicting the sweep.
And it actually works out because the odds are like, it'd probably be like Cleveland's like plus 300 for both games or plus 2 something, and so that actually works out pretty even too. So masterfully done, sir. Masterfully done. It might be close, just like the photo finish. And for the record, I'm glad we didn't work in some elaborate tiebreaker if none of us got it, because one of my horses finished in 19th out of 19.
Was that just the tip?
Yeah, just a tip. Just the tip. Got not even the tip. It was going to be just a tip, but his performance was utterly circumcised out there. Bye.
Wait, hold on. Let's see. So I think that is it. Or do we want to? Did we talk? Yeah, we talked about that. I think we've talked about all the series. So yeah, we only get one bet. We got to do better on coming up with more bets.
Yeah, I know. We agreed. What is this agreement bullshit?
Well, we got to find like a prop bet, like something within a game, like top score or something.
All right, I can do that.
By the way, OKC, is that going to go? OKC just took the lead.
Nice. Yes.
I mean, we're 3 minutes into the second half, but it's OKC up by 1.
I love it.
That's the first lead of the game, no kidding.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I want more. I desire more.
All right.
Bedtime for Bonzos?
Better, ladies and gentlemen, in coming up with more bets.
Yes.
We need more financial transactions here.
Financial ruin. If this doesn't end in financial ruin, then I will not accept this as something that ever happened. Good night, y'all. Yeah. Bye. Have fun watching games.
See you guys next time.
Go sports ball. Bye.
Dollar bets.
Dollar bets.